Good morning. I'm Doug Bellin from Cisco Systems, and in my spare time, nights, evenings, weekends, I'm one of the chairman or the board on the IIC as well. So thank you for IIC for the organization of this event that we're at. I have the pleasure of actually introducing our next speaker. Our next speaker is responsible for enabling Cisco's global operations to bring our truly international connected solutions to companies out here. As a global IoT platform provider, Cisco's Jasper has deep experience and insight into how connected technology is transforming industries around the world. Please join me in welcoming Marc Overton, the Managing Director, Global Innovation and Sales, IoT Cloud, Cisco.
Good morning, everyone. Third day in, and it's only 9 o'clock in the 9:30 in the morning. It's great to be here. As Doug introduced me, I came in with the Jasper acquisition by Cisco on the 1st of April this year. So I think in terms of a year of change, a year of maturity, you know, we've moved from a startup where we had 400 people to being part of the world's largest global enterprise IT organization with 70,000 people across the world. And their real commitment, and it's part of what I want to talk about today, is, and why they acquired Jasper, is they are absolutely focused on IoT. We've been doing this for about 10 years from Jasper's perspective, and I want to really talk about ground truth. What is actually happening, and what is a myth, and what is a reality. So, it isn't a science experiment anymore. There are people who are talking about it in terms of case studies and pilots and development labs, but we are seeing from where we're sitting, this is absolutely core to the way in which enterprises are doing their business and talking to customers. It isn't also just about enterprise-level IoT. I bought last week, it came to the UK, a product called Amazon Echo. Anyone got one of those? Yeah, a few hands. Yeah, excellent. Amazon Echo is voice recognition, small sort of tube, which enables you to automate and control your home. I live in a house which is very male-dominated. I've got 2 teenage sons, and my wife feels slightly isolated, so I decided to get her one of these because it's got a very sexy female voice as well, called Alexa, who speaks to you, and you can speak back, and as well as being an expensive egg timer, it controls the lighting and heating in your house. Now that's IoT, it's changing the way in which utilities and their connected home is operating, and I'm starting to see from my children a sort of knowledge and awareness of what this stuff really does. So it isn't just about machines and industry. What we're seeing in Jasper, Cisco, is a exponential growth. We are loading about 1.2 million devices a month onto the platform. The platform at the moment has about 36 million devices, making it the largest IoT platform on the planet. Now, from that perspective, we have a global view of what is really happening across industry, across regions, and across countries. And there are a couple of observations that I'd like to sort of pull out. Firstly, connected car is absolutely driving this industry and really forcing the pace of change. This isn't just your standard, you know, oh, we've been talking to these guys. We are absolutely embedded in these organizations, helping them do their digital transformation right across the sectors that you see up there. But in particular, I'll pull out later on a few of the sort of leading examples. But it is pervasive, it's global, and it's happening right now. Now, one of the key enablers for this, and we don't often speak about it, we talk about data, and we talk about systems, and we talk about processes, is the underlying connectivity to enable this. It's not straightforward. And just by putting up the people we're working with here across the world, you'll realize that dealing with global connected business is actually quite difficult. You're dealing with a lot of different operators, a lot of different regulatory environments, and increasingly, it's not just about cellular, and I'll come on to that in a second. Observations from our perspective at a global level is there's a couple of engine rooms of growth. Certainly our main partner our partner in the US, AT&T, been doing this for longer than most, driving it and really making it a mainstream activity of their whole organization. Real sort of growth. On the other side, you've got China Unicom in Asia, massive growth, absolutely huge enablement of their sales force and really pushing this through their a lot of government-led initiatives into China. But that's generating not just intra-regional excitement, but actually these companies, and not just those companies, but these companies in particular, are looking at global expansion. They're looking at enabling enterprises to go global. But from an enterprise perspective, it's really tough. You know, looking at this map of the world, how do I enable global business for my products and services and actually start to really benefit from you know, simplified supply chains, more effective management of product. I mentioned connected car. We look after and have our control center, our connectivity platform, management platform, in 21 of the OEMs across the world. And this is, for us, really driving a number of things. Firstly, the scale of the deployments are enormous. You know, the number of RFIs, RFPs that we're seeing of multi-million connections over multi-years. These companies are really forcing the requirements of the industry, but also particular to the challenging requirements of a connected car moving into autonomous vehicles. Really, you know, starting to get us to think very differently about the role of connectivity and how that is such a vital part of the new services that they're going to offer. So it's happening right now. Second hype is this isn't just about things and connections. You know, that's what people are talking about. It's sort of product, it's physical goods. No, it's about business outcomes. It is absolutely the cost benefit of having connected solutions in your business. What does it mean to your bottom line? And it's a commercialization of the technology and the solutions, which we at Cisco Jasper have been doing for a long time now. And it's not straightforward. I used to run the IoT business for EE, which is now part of BT. And from an operator perspective, it was just seen as a rounding error. M2M, IoT, not particularly exciting, not really well understood, bit of a science experiment, just leave it alone. We're now seeing this as absolute mainstream thinking, up there with digital transformation on the boards of these big companies. And it's to do with business outcomes. And these are the sort of things that we're seeing people talking about. And you heard it a couple of times this morning, the productivity, time to market, how we make decisions in those companies, reducing the costs, improving customer experience, and being and competitive differentiation. And increasingly, we go in and talk to large enterprises, and it's about the business case, it's about the value being created, and it's far less about the solution and the product. So what's our role in this? It's a complex ecosystem. That's when everyone goes, I see a wall of smartphones at me. It's a complex ecosystem. And we all know that on the device side, there's loads of different devices, different standards, different numbers of devices. You know, managing a million devices is very different to managing 10,000, and the variety is extreme. The network side, as I mentioned before, is challenging. You know, you cannot now, as a large enterprise, go and deal with one large company or one company to cover everything you need from a global perspective, let alone the top 20 industrial nations, and have a quality and reliable solution that gives you the right cost base and you have the right quality of service. It doesn't. That's not there now, and you know, we really are struggling in the connectivity space to make that a coherent proposition. You then get into how you actually manage those devices. And you know, for me, as I said, we speak a lot about the front end, the apps and the IT, and that's the end user piece. But actually, if you don't get the device connectivity right, and you don't get the actual data off the device in a timely fashion, then the whole thing starts to crumble. So having visibility of it, understanding the diagnostics of the device, and innovating around that device is really important. And we shouldn't underestimate that that's quite a complex space. And if it fails very visibly. And then you have the IoT applications and IT, and there's a lot of use cases and people around that. Now, one of the things I was going to mention, actually was on the previous slide in terms of the sort of potential fog layer, is, and we're working closely with the guys here, it is seen, you know, fog is the missing link in IoT. It's another network layer that is becoming more and more prevalent and important in order to manage the portfolio of a multiplicity of these devices. And we're very closely involved in that. So why Jasper, why Cisco Jasper coming together? What is it all about? Well, as I've said before, we have a real focus on the left-hand side. This is our new IoT cloud strategy in Cisco, where we are really fixated by quality of delivery of devices in a secure manner under something that we call the data delivery portfolio, where we are able, across multiple delivery mechanisms, at the moment it's cellular, narrowband IoT, LoRa, Wi-Fi, multiple delivery mechanisms, to get the data off the device, to manage those devices and get the data off it. We're also looking at how we monetize that data to enable prepackaged solutions for enterprises so they don't have to go off and choose a module, a platform, a billing system. We can actually help them facilitate that in an easy to understand way. In partnership, we're working closely with on the network side, obviously through Edge Network, but also with things. We do a lot of the things from the Cisco portfolio, be it ruggedized IoT gateways, but we don't do all things. So being interoperable with the sensors and the other devices is absolutely critical. And then at the top, we've got the cloud platforms from a load of people we're working with here and across the world, and then the application stack to actually glue the whole thing together so you've got an end-to-end experience. We then work in depth on a number of verticals, and it wouldn't surprise you that we're very much into the sort of connected spaces, connected cities, smart cities place, and also given our heritage, especially from the Cisco Jasper side, or the Jasper side is in the connected vehicle side. And this is where we're going to go. We are deeper and more expertise in those key verticals to basically take the enabling platforms and actually provide end-to-end solutions in depth and real knowledge and focus in those areas. And we have focused on those areas because we believe they are closest to our core competencies, and that's where we have most reach and value. Overlying all of that, our go-to-market is 70,000 people across 96 countries in Cisco, of which 20,000 people are our global sales force. We in Cisco have a relationship with pretty much every medium to large enterprise on the planet, and over the next coming years, IoT is going to be a main focus for those people to educate, inform, and transform those businesses. So this is a global play, now enabled by the world's largest global IoT provider. So IoT is about product. No, it's not. It's about transforming a product business, and actually in some respects, Cisco is a product business selling kit into a solutions business. And I think many people in this audience at this show are running product-centric businesses, recurring revenues, having longer-term, the more intimate relationships, real-time relationships with customers is as much a challenge for many people in this room as many of the enterprises we're talking to. I mentioned connected car. Connected car for us was one area which we in Jasper really doubled down on and focused a lot of effort. So the OnStar program with General Motors, with AT&T in the US, was something that we enabled, and we learned a huge amount from that. But what we're now seeing is the desire from the car companies to do this stuff on a global scale, to have connectivity and connected services as an absolute key growth driver for how they run their business. We are talking legions of people in the large car companies, 100, 200, 300, 400 even people who are focusing on services that they can enable through the connected car. It's not just about autonomous driving, it's about delivering services through into the car, either around the car itself or around entertaining the passengers inside or monetizing the people when they're in that car. Now that real-time relationship with customers, that increasing touch point with customers is very different to the relationship car companies have had in previous years, where they've sold a car and maybe 3 or 4 years later, that customer will come back and buy another car. They may have a service relationship, they may not. This change in behavior, mindset, culture is absolutely amazing in the car industry. These guys are now really alive to how they're going to run and maximize and have really deep customer relationships based on what they're seeing increasingly in the car space as an entertainment experience. Autonomous driving means that there'll be less time and concern about the driving bit and more time about the entertainment and service bit. On the back of it, you could talk about insurance opportunities and healthcare. You can talk about content provision, and there's been really big moves there. AT&T is a good example of going into content, but the car companies are looking aggressively at that. Car companies buying mapping companies, getting into the software space. They are aggressively looking at moving from a product company into a service company and getting those recurring revenues and deeper customer relationships. Fundamentally different. You heard a bit about connected agriculture. For us, John Deere, really good case study of how to take, again, similar to a car environment, taking a vehicle and actually translating that into a much more real-time relationship with improved customer experience and an ongoing dialogue with the farmer, and really helping them maximize their yields and performance. And this has been around we've been doing this now about 4 or 5 years, and it's just become normal. I was with a farmer the other day, and he was telling me that we were having this discussion about what he thinks his drivers now do in their big combine harvesters. He was saying they primarily surf the internet. They just sit there, as the thing goes backwards and forwards, and it's automatically programmed, and they're just in case something goes wrong. In the UK, we have problems with badgers. They dig sort of big holes in the fields, and his job is just to make sure that the combine harvester doesn't go down one of those big holes. That's pretty much all they're there for, and that is basically enabled off our platform through the Jasper Control Center. One of our major customers in the industrial space we've been working with for a long time is ABB, who we met earlier this week here actually. They, again, really have transformed the way they operate. These are remote diagnostics of the actual robots and the business, their product that they use in industrial manufacturing lines. Predictive analytics, understanding what happens before it becomes a real issue is fundamental. We do a lot of work with a number of companies who produce large mining equipment, big drilling bits. Again, understanding what's going to happen with those before it becomes an issue, so it's overheating or it's wearing out too quickly. You can actually start to do something about it before it gets to a place where the machine actually breaks. So these sorts of use cases, from our perspective, are many and varied, but the underlying enablement of all of these is the ability to actually talk to that device, talk to that car, talk to that tractor. If we can't do that because the connectivity isn't there, because you haven't got the right ability to do that diagnostics and manage those, get that data off the device in a timely fashion, all the other stuff, all the really exciting stuff about data provision and the ability to monetize that data doesn't happen. And at the moment, it is not easy for an enterprise to do this stuff at scale globally without having to go across lots of different connectivity types, lots of different operators, and lots of different platforms. We here at Cisco Jasper are actually helping those customers come up with that solution and managing it on their behalf to ensure that we can deliver that data off that device at a global scale for those enterprises. Exciting times. Thank you very much.